I think it was the summer of 1984. My father told me that he had worked with some people in Hy-Vee, worked with the company. He said to me, "I got that interview you've been wanting," and I guess apparently I wasn't trying that hard, so I went and had my interview, and the next thing you know, they called me and said, "You got a job." Well, okay, so I worked through my senior year, and that next year I went to school, and it wasn't really. I didn't know what I was looking for anyway. And at the end of that year, some buddies of mine were joining the Army Reserves. They were getting the money for school, and it seemed like the right thing to do since they were my best friends. And my mom had been sick and things like that, and I was a little burnt out. And I thought, believe it or not, the Army would be a bright awakening, and truly it was. But so the three of us went to basic training in AIT, and that spring, summer. And got back home, and I went back to school the next fall, and I guess again I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was talking to my boss, and several other things led to my store manager saying to me, "Well, why don't you give Hy-Vee a shot?" So I started asking why and what, and he said, "Why don't you try doing this for 30 days and this and that." And little did I know I was working my way into the, pupil mentor relationship with this gentleman, and that's truly what it ended up being. And from that time on, I guess I always look back at him as being someone who changed my life. And he, well, I guess I played these roles out, and the passion was there. I loved it. Well, I always liked working for Hy-Vee. I just didn't know all these other things with responsibility were going to be exciting to me. And when I was able to work my way into this management role as assistant manager of sorts, I think it was about 21, and I didn't get a store until I was 33. Now, that role could have been different for somebody who would have been different. It's worked differently for all of us. I have no complaints, but I had a friend who got a store when he was 29, but I think that 31, 33 age, you've already experienced some things, and for most, it's buying a house and children and just more work. And for me, it wasn't buying a house and children. That came at the same time I got a store. But so then I've been in the store director role for 10 years, and I think back to day one to year 10, I should say. I think I'm almost two different people, and the bottom line, like everything else, is just experience, because you don't just get to go to a store, and it's not a job where you want to come in late and leave late and work out in the middle of the day. You know that if you're putting more effort into this and to the people, paying attention to those people, the whole thing's going to be better for you, yourself, your family, the company, the employees. And I think of going to my first store and, what will I do? How can I make it better? It wasn't the kingdom come of all stores. It was, we had to do something to make it better, and a lot of that was we had just had a baby, so my wife being understanding of that, because I worked 6 and 7 days a week a lot, and without any exaggeration, and most of that time 6:30 to 6:30. Sometimes it would be later in the night, maybe coming later because I wanted to do something, but it was important to know all the employees. That was a big deal, because you had about 30 in a small store. You maybe had 30, 40 full-time employees, 50, and then you had 100 part-time employees. A lot of that in the smaller towns were young kids, going to high school, and boy, what an asset that was, because I would say that if I didn't know how to work with those people, those young people, I think I would have been a failure. But at the same time, we had to come up with a plan to make that store better. That's part of the process, and moved a lot of things, and only because a typical day for me, and I hope for any Hy-Vee manager, is really unknown from the minute you walk in the door. I've been in a store a fourth of the size, or grew up in that store, and then even larger. It just, the minute you walk in the door, you have 300, 400, 500 employees. You're not really sure what's coming up next, as well as the customer. And one customer, it's amazing that a customer complaint we'll stop the day until it's corrected, until we can make that customer satisfied again. And that's too is what I always like about this job. But I get here early. We usually help the night crew get done, and I just feel like they respect that. You've got a whole group of people working overnight, maybe 40 people working different shifts during, 10 p.m. to 6, 7 a.m. And I know they respect it when those of us in management help them get the store ready, face, that type of thing in the morning. And then it's one of us, all of us try to get around the store, through every aisle, through every crack and cranny, and take a walk and just see what do we need to clean. What do we need to fix? What do we need to hang a sign on? And that's that. And that part's simple. As far as somebody were asking me, how do you get successful with this, or I would say any retail? There's no doubt about it. The being able to communicate and taking care of people, we're going to get you much further. And I don't know how that is I don't know how that differs from this to any other business with more than 3 employees, because if you're taking care of those, they take care of you. And I don't care what business you're in. I think that eventually makes everybody more profitable, better, etc. Don't coin that phrase exactly, but that's, I think you'd understand what it takes to move forward from the day you start as, say a bagger. Our CEOs have all been baggers. That's the bottom line truth. Almost everybody in our company has once been a bagger. We have some specialties in the pharmacies and the dietitians and that, but everybody else knows what the other is doing. But this business is no different than any other business that I've been a part of, from being a busboy or to my friend or my mother or my father's job, where you go walk in the door. You still have to have your morals, scruples, characters, all of the above. Let's just say that's a given that you have that, but you have to use that. And I still, no matter how long I've had this job or any other job, I still have a fear that I could be fired. Every day I go to knowing that I work for somebody else. I need to give them what they want. And in this case, the case of Hy-Vee, that's never been a hard thing to figure out. It's always been simple. It's been simple because taking care of the customer is the number one. And once you've proven that, and I say once your boss is still checking up on you. There's people that always have something to do with your business, but once people figure that out in you, that you'll go the extra mile for a customer, that's when you start to become that Hy-Vee person that they want to see you doing more, doing more, doing more. That's my job, and that's the young man or young woman or man or woman my age that just got hired. It's the same thing, the same standards, taking care of the customer first. And for me, that's always been easy. I say, how could I've pinched myself thinking that how could I have got this job or just got into it by accident as a teenager. And again, it's been just by taking care of the customer, plain and simple.